Welcome back to Grassroots Media. Welcome back to this week's edition of the Gary's Paint and Body Shop Terry Hoese Show, where we cover everything on the court with the South Greene Rebels basketball team. As always, I'm joined here with head coach Terry Hoese. Coach,
Tyler,
how's it been?
it's been pretty good.
Got a little bit of snow, got out of school. I'm sure you got to relax a little bit being out of school, not have to deal with some knucklehead kids. Still had to deal with your knucklehead kids on the court, though, of course.
Sometimes that might be worse.
It could be. It's a debate there, but you picked up 2 wins in the meantime since the last time we've sat down. 2 very exciting games. I was able to be at one and then watch another on our stream. 6-point win over Grainger and then an 11-point comeback win over West Greene. You look at the Grainger game, we'll talk about it first. 6-point win at some point in the game, you're up double digits, and here they come in the third quarter with a furious run to tie the game. As a spectator, fun game to watch. I know for you, not as fun of a game to watch. Very nerve-wracking at some points during that game, but take me through that whole experience up there in Rutledge this year.
I've said it before. Wolfenbarger does a super good job with his kids, and he's told me before, earlier in the year that they weren't very good. But I told him, I said, don't sell yourself short. He has some kids that can play. So he had the one kid there in the third quarter put up 17 and basically overtook the game. He got them back in it, and I wound up having to go to a diamond and one in the fourth quarter. And after the game, he hugged me. He's like, dude, I've played you for 19 years, and I've never known you to run a diamond or a box. And I said, well, I've never had a kid put up 17 on me in a quarter either. So, they're capable of running off some points. They're not bad. So it was good to get out of there with a win. It's a tough place to go play. Atmosphere's good. It's a good place to go play.
You were right. You told me on the preview that they have a great student body, and they do. They've got one of the best student bodies and student sections that you'll see out of any team on your schedule this year. And you talk about a kid rattling off 17 for you in a quarter too. I mean, you adjusted to that with that diamond and one, and I'd like to shout out that player too. I think it was Noah Wright that you put on him.
Yeah.
Didn't allow him to score a single point in the fourth quarter. Rarely even allowed him to get any shots off in the fourth quarter either, and I don't think they were very high-quality shots either. So great defensive effort by him. He did a little bit on the scoring side of things, but in that regard, sometimes your defense is what wins you games, and
Absolutely.
I think his defense really helped provide you with that victory on Thursday.
That's, a lot of times defense turns into offense for other people, so I preach that all the time. If you defend and get easy buckets. So, we not into the West Greene game yet, but kind of felt like that's what happened last night in the third quarter too. We got some steals early and were able to get some easy bucket putbacks last night and got us back into the game. But definitely him, Noah down at Rutledge, he stopped that kid. and I say, it wasn't just that he stopped the kid from scoring. He got into him and annoyed the kid. I said that every time that kid turned around, Noah was in his face and kind of got him a little bit rattled. And he took some bad shots at that point. So, not saying he hurt his team because they were relying on him to score, but we forced him into some bad shots with Noah on him. So, those bad shots turned into easy buckets for us.
I don't want you to get mad when I say this either. There's a few times every game when I watch you get upset at the players on the court, and I can't help but laugh. There's one moment from the other night, you come over, you called a timeout in the third quarter, you look at every player and said, I think he can shoot. What do you think? Everybody just had their heads down like, I don't want to answer.
We before every game, we do prepare. I watch tons of game film. Coach Dyer watches tons of game film. And we tell these kids before every game, the kids that can really shoot it. And I swear that those are the kids that fill it up. It's like we don't even guard them. And I tell kids all the time, I'm like, I'm going to start telling you all different kids to guard. and that way maybe we'll go to guard the ones that can actually shoot it. But, sometimes you have to remind them, once a kid puts up 17 in the quarter, you'd think a kid would figure it out at that point. They need to go guard somebody. But sometimes you got to remind them who can actually play.
And even though it was a 6-point game, it did come down to the end, though, because a few free throws at the end allowed you to stretch it out to 6. They had brought it within, I think, a one-possession game with under 2 minutes left to go. So, great victory, pulled that one out. I remember you had a layup at the end by Caden Fillers when you were trying to pass it around and move the ball into open space and waste clock, and he was able to lay it in, and that really kind of set it apart. And one player that we'll talk about, of course, is Chandler Gamble. We'll talk about him with his performances in Grainger and West Greene's game. But the Grainger game, you started off hot with a great performance from Gavin Dyer, too. He scored your first 9 on 3 straight threes and then scored the last 2 free throws to put it out of reach, too. So we got to give a shout-out to him and just the great game that he played up there at Grainger.
And him being a sophomore, at the end of the game, he wanted the ball. And that's when you start looking at that, teams are going to have to foul you. You try to start picking out your kids that can actually go to the free throw line, and you have a lot of confidence in. And him being a sophomore and having the confidence to go get the ball and go to the free throw line, knock down free throws is huge for him. So he's going to be a good one. He scored those first 9 and then took a couple of bad shots trying to force because he wanted to continue to shoot it, and kind of got out of rhythm there a little bit and struggled for a little bit. But come back when it counted and make those 2 free throws. But you talk about Chandler Gamble. I took him out there in the third quarter. He was down taking some bad shots. Actually, it wasn't third quarter. That was first half. He took some bad shots. And, at times you get kids like that, scored 20s for you, and you hate to take them out, but there's also times when they kind of get rogue on you a little bit and you have to reel them back in. And that's when I took him out, he looked at me and he said, "Coach, why are you taking me out?" And I said, "Because you're killing me right now." And he's like, "I got to get loose." And Coach Dyer looked at him, he said, "Well, while you're getting loose, we're getting our tails kicked." So we kind of went through that little bit with him, but then he come back out in the third quarter and took over the game. So sometimes you have to reset and get going, but when he gets going, he can get going.
And I think he didn't go bucket for bucket with number 1 in that third quarter, but once he started in the fourth quarter, he kind of made up for what number 1 did because he was able to give you that little bit of a lead that you were able to hold all the way to the end. And I think even though it was a close game and they tied it up at one point, I think you led wire to wire throughout the whole entire game after Gavin hit that first three-pointer. And it wasn't the case in the West Greene game. Trailed big at halftime in that one. Had a furious comeback where I think you outscored them 25-5 in the third quarter. We're down 15 at the half. You're able to pick up a big conference win here at home. We could talk about how important it is, but I think everybody understands it's a county rival, it's a conference rival, it's a game against a team that you had talked about may finish at the top, and you've got to win the home games. You're able to do that with a furious 15-point comeback. What led to that comeback when you were able to win?
Changed the pace of the game a little bit. Of course, you go back to a factory reset. We had a factory reset in the locker room at half. And one of my things with them was, you tell me you want to win, and I'm telling you this could be for a conference championship. You lose this tonight, you got no shot. And I don't know if that was motivational to them or not, but come out in that second half and jumped into a little half-court trap, and they turned the ball over, kind of sped them up. They took a lot of shots that they weren't comfortable taking. I don't know. It was like a minute or so to go in the third quarter before they scored their first bucket. We'd outscored them 20-something to 0 at one point. And honestly, it was anything but a change of pace in the game. We got some steals, sped them up. They took some shots that they weren't comfortable with and didn't make, and we got defensive boards and got runouts and layups. So nothing special that we did, honestly. We just kind of changed our defense a little bit and put a little pressure on them, and they got rattled a little bit and threw it to us. I'm going to tell you, Alan Tolliver did a great job of getting that bunch prepared. They came out ready to play, and we struggled a little bit in the first half, and they did what they needed to do. Luckily for us, they didn't shoot it very well in the third quarter, so gave us an opportunity to get back in the game.
And then, of course, once again, we talked about Gamble in the Grainger game. Once again, in the West Greene game, he led you in scoring and was a catalyst to your victory, too. He's had some great games and some great moments, and this is one of the ones where I think you needed it most. Of course, you like to get a win against Grainger, but when he has those great games and those fiery quarters, you like it to be in those conference games, especially against a team like West Greene, who, like you mentioned, if they take that game away from you, that could be the difference in the conference championship with the earlier loss to Hampton. So, big win and another big performance by him in a big-time situation.
He had 28 points. I don't know. We had him down for 17 rebounds. I don't know if that's official or not, but super good game. And, we started running our offense there, a little dribble drive offense. And when he caught the ball, man, I don't know how many times he got to the bucket. He shot a lot of balls from 1 or 2 feet. And also, on top of that, he controlled the offensive glass. He had a lot of rebound putbacks for easy baskets. So, played his tail off in that second half. Somehow I've got to figure out a way to get that out of him for 4 quarters. If we do, we're going to be tough to beat at some point. So he is a difference maker when he wants to be.
And we've recapped those 2 games. Of course, you had one that was scheduled in between that we previewed that didn't get to be played, of course, with Cott County, with the snow and everything. Has that been rescheduled?
We have rescheduled that for February the 1st, so hopefully everything works out and we get to make that one up.
February 1st. That will be another Saturday?
It's another Saturday.
Another Saturday. So just move it from one Saturday to another Saturday. Finish the week strong. 2 wins that we've talked about. Going into a stretch where we talk about 3 tough games, 2 against conference opponents, and then 1 with one of your maybe, if not the best, out-of-conference opponent that you've got so far in Dobyns-Bennett. Before we talk about that too much, though, of course, we need to get a word in from our sponsors first. So right after the break, we'll talk about their 3-game stretch here on Grassroots Media.
At Corner Pond, the friendly and knowledgeable staff has the experience necessary to help you out regardless the need. Have an item of value you'd like to pawn or sell? Corner Pond can help. They pawn numerous items of value, including firearms, tools, ammunition, silver, coins, and much more. When you walk through their doors, you'll find well-stocked shelves full of electronics, gaming systems, fishing and hunting equipment, car audio and accessories. And don't forget about the room full of guitars and basses and amplifiers, or their outside lawn and garden equipment. Corner Pond is a case knife dealer and carries numerous used knives as well. Stop by and let the friendly staff at Corner Pond help you today at 432 East Bernard Avenue, Greenville, Tennessee. For more than 30 years, Tommy's Plumbing has served customers in East Tennessee with licensed and professional plumbing services. From installing your new faucet to replacing your existing piping system, our team at Tommy's Plumbing is trained to handle the job with professionalism, attention to detail, and integrity. By offering warranties on most products installed by our technicians, Tommy's Plumbing stands behind our work, ensuring that your plumbing needs are not only met, but that your problem is solved for the long term. When you need reliable and professional plumbing service, Tommy's is the only call to make. So give us a call today and let us show you the Tommy's difference.
Welcome back to Grassroots Media. Welcome back to this week's edition of the Gary's Paint and Body Shop Terry Hoese Show, where we cover everything on the hardwood with the South Greene Rebels basketball team. As always, I'm joined here with head coach Terry Hoese. So we talked about 3 games last week. Hopefully we get 3 in this time. With this weather, we don't know, but knock on wood, hopefully we get all 3 in. You travel to Happy Valley on Friday. You host Dobyns-Bennett on Saturday. Travel to Chucky Doak on Tuesday. So you get 3 games in 4 days, 2 of those being conference games, both of them on the road, and then DB here on Saturday at home. So take me through this 3-game stretch and tell me what you can expect out of the Rebels.
Well, especially the 2 conference games, very important games to us. Those are games that are both away that we need to win. It is hard to go away and play, so everybody tries to defend their home court. And I know that kind of sounds cliche a little bit, but you never know how teams are going to play away or how good the other teams are going to play on their home court. Mm-hmm. So those 2 games are really important. And then you got Saturday, one of those situations where I try to schedule people that I feel like is going to make us better. Hopefully we can compete with Dobyns-Bennett and build a little bit and give us a little bit of confidence going in for the rest of the season. But Dobyns-Bennett's good. They're playing well. They're well coached. So I've got 3 important games here coming up, and probably if you look at those 3, the 2 most important are obviously the conference games, but Saturday's important to us too. We want to perform well.
Yeah, of course, the conference games are the 2 most important that you need to win, but kind of as we talked about it before the break, Dobyns-Bennett may be your best out-of-conference opponent talent-wise that you play this year. You can kind of compare them up there with the Crockett's and the Tennessee Highs. So even though the Happy Valley game and the Chucky Doak are, of course, the more important games, the Dobbins-Bennett game is, I think, the one where you're going to have to strap in the most because they're probably going to give you the toughest battle.
It is, and it's one of those games you want to go win. If you can win those, it kind of gives your kids confidence a little bit that they can go compete with bigger places and big schools. So we should not compete with Dobbins-Bennett, obviously. 20-something hundred kids,
Yeah.
our 400. But still, it's a challenge to us, and I hope we're competitive. That's when it comes down to it, and challenge your kids to go out and play their tails off. And I remember up there last year, the last comment I made before we took the floor is, if you want to get recognized, tonight's the night to get recognized. And we went out and played super good up there, and wound up winning that game by 15 or so. So dropped to one here later in the year when they came in by a few. But still competed. So as long as we can compete against them and have a decent showing, I'll be satisfied with whatever the outcome is.
We talked about the conference games with Chucky Doak and Happy Valley, and we talked about the one with West Greene before. It's a little too early, only 3 games into the season, but you look at the conference standings now. We can talk about it a little more clearly now with the win over West Greene. You've now dropped them from being up there tied for first place with with Hampton. They're now tied for second with you all now. So we already talked about and knew how important of a win that was, but in that sense too, we didn't mention how they had been tied for first place with Hampton. So now you've kind of got an upper hand on them. Of course, you've got to go there later on in the season. So you may make the argument that they still have the upper hand having the final game there at their gym. But you've got Hampton, who you don't know will take a loss from any other teams, maybe against West Greene. You've still got them left at home, too. So how do you feel about your position within the conference at this moment now after the win against West Greene?
We have to win the games that we're supposed to go win. We need to win Friday. We need to win Tuesday. And I don't mean any disrespect to Happy Valley or Chucky Doak. Feel like we should go win those 2 games. And then, of course, you've got to win the ones from here on out. You can't have any let-ups, and that's what my complaint to them was last night in the half. Here you are out here, and we've put up 15 points in a half, and this might be the most important game we play all year. If you want to have a shot at the end to have maybe a chance to win this thing. So we still have to have a lot of things happen. We have to beat everybody, including Hampton here. But I also have to have somebody else knock off Hampton in order for us to get that number 1 seed at the end. So a lot of things left, a lot of games left to be played. And I've been in this long enough to know that it don't matter who you're playing. Boys basketball, you can get giant ends beat. So,
and we are 3 games into it.
Absolutely.
We are nowhere close to it being over yet.
Not at all.
And, I mean, one team that we cannot fail to mention, too, we've mentioned – for the other 5 opponents within your conference, you got to watch out for Johnson County too.
Absolutely.
That's a true wild card team. Everybody has to go there. We all know and can make the argument that it might be the toughest trip and the toughest place to play in the conference. So you cannot leave them out of the question either. But we always talk about how fun of a conference it is, and through 3 games so far, it's been real fun.
Absolutely.
But we're not even close to being over. It's exciting. We're into these conference games. Next time we sit down, we'll have 2 more to talk about with Happy Valley and Chucky Doak, and then of course that game with Dobbins-Bennett. That's all we've got this week. Appreciate you once again, Coach.
Appreciate you.
You ever been to a Carolina Panthers game?
I have not.
You'd fit in with that jacket. You would fit in.
I wear this often. I like this jacket.
I like it. I love that electric blue.
I do too.
I wore mine for you the other night at Grainger. I told you I had one too. College football playoff. We've talked about the last few interviews. I still don't think anybody has what's in the championship game right now. Nobody expected anything.
Can't imagine that. Ohio State's playing well. I can't. Texas had a shot there and blew it. You're first and goal from the 1, and you can't get in. So
you deserve to lose a game in that situation.
You deserve to lose it, and
you deserve to lose it with that play call. Too.
Absolutely, you sure do.
Let's ask Coach Jones what he thinks of that one. See what he'd have done in that situation too, because I guarantee it'd have been better than Steve Sarkisian. But yeah, first year of the 12-team playoff, you've got the 7 seed and the 8 seed in the championship.
That's why you play them.
That is why you play them. Not many people saw it coming, but I guess that's what some people wanted. You wanted everybody to get a fair shot, and it's exactly what Ohio State and Notre Dame fans and supporters and players and coaches are going to get. But national championship will be Monday. I still think it's Ohio State's game.
I wish both teams could lose, but
yeah, I do too. I don't like
Ohio
either
State.
one, but I'll be sort of pulling for Notre Dame because I don't want to see Ohio State win. But at the same time, it's like you don't really want to see either.
No, if they could just forfeit the game and both teams take the loss, I'd be perfectly happy.
I would be that same way too. But that's all I've got this week, Coach. Once again, appreciate you for sitting down with me. Thank you all for watching this week's edition of the Gary's Paint and Body Shop Terry Hoese Show. Look forward to seeing you next time here on Grassroots Media.